Thank you, one and all. Good evening. So, my portion of the talk slightly covered by Dr. Sudesh Kumar Sahu in a different way when he classified the singularities. So, I will just recall and then continue my topic. So, there may be a slight overlapping. Okay, just for the brevity, I will just recall some of the definitions and then I will go to my topic. So since here net is a little issue, so sometimes I will switch off the video. Okay, I'm just running with the data, mobile data. So recall. Let D be a domain in C. And F is a function from D to C. This is the analytic. And suppose Z is a point in D, we say that Z naught is a zero of order n of f of z if f of z naught equals to 0 and f dash of z naught equals to 0 and so on, and f power n minus 1 at z naught equals to 0, but f power n of z naught is non-zero. Okay. Then we say that our z naught is a zero of order n for the function f of z. Okay. So if f of, so let me write, okay, if z naught is a zero of order n for f of z, okay, so we can always express this one, okay, into the power series form. Okay, I will just explain. So now we are taking, this is my D and z naught is a point somewhere. Okay, since f is analytic in D, so I can always find out a small neighborhood at that point, and locally we can write as a Taylor series expression at z naught. Therefore, my f of z naught, that means I can always find out some radius r greater than 0. In mod z minus z naught less than r, I can find out a power series expansion. Okay. Then there exists r greater than 0 such that, okay, my f of z has power series expansion summation n equals to k equals to 0 to infinity ak into z minus z naught whole to the power of k. Okay, in mod z minus z naught less than r. Okay, so that means since your f, since z naught is a zero of order n, f of z naught will be 0 and f dash of z naught will be 0 and so on f power n minus 1 at z naught is 0. Okay, so I can only retain f power n of z naught. Okay, so if we write this one into the series form, this is a1 a naught plus a1 into z minus z naught, okay, plus a2 into z minus z naught whole square and so on. Okay, so or else let me write here where what is our a case. Our a case are nothing but f power k at z naught by k factorial. Okay, now our f of z naught is 0, f dash of z naught is 0 and f power n minus 1 of z naught equals to 0. Therefore, this series I can write as this f of z I will write as, okay, summation, okay, or let's write a n into z minus z naught whole to the power of n plus a n plus 1 into z minus z naught whole to the power of n plus 1 and so on. Okay, so this I am taking z minus z naught whole to the power of n, I am taking common. Then this is nothing but a n plus a n plus 1 into z minus z naught and so on. So this I will rewrite as z minus z naught whole to the power of n, and I call this one as g of z. Okay, so into g of z, where your g of z is nothing but a n plus a n plus 1 into z minus z naught plus a n plus 2 into z minus z naught whole square and so on. Okay, so so now this clearly this g is a analytic function. Okay, therefore if f has 0 of order n at a point z naught, I can always write my f of z into z minus z naught whole to the power of n into g of z, where g is an analytic function. Okay, because g is a power series. Why g is analytic function? Because g is a power series which is valid in mod z minus z naught less than r. Therefore, this is an analytic function. Okay, if you want, I can write one more sentence here. Since g of z represents analytic function, in mod z minus z naught less than r. Therefore, this is an analytic function. Therefore, if z is equal to z naught is a 0 of order n, my f of z can be written as z minus z naught whole to the power of n into g of z. Okay, so let us give an example. Let our f of z is, say, z square or z into sin z square. Okay, we know that, and we want to find out the zeros of this f of z. Okay, we know that sin z square is nothing but z square minus z to the power of 6 by 3 factorial plus z to the power of 10 by 5 factorial and so on. So if I multiply with z into sin z square equals to, I think there is some network issue, therefore I think the letters on the screen is taking little time to come. So z into sin square z, yeah, just a minute. Just let me check the network connectivity. So just a minute, I will just open the. Yeah, now it's okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. So that's what I switched off the video. So z into sin square z is nothing but z cube into 1 minus z to the power of 4 by 3 factorial plus z to the power of 8 by 5 factorial and so on. Now this can be written into z cube into g of z, okay, where our g of z is nothing but 1 minus z to the power of 4 by 3 factorial plus z to the power of 8 by 5 factorial and so on. And clearly see that g of 0 is equals to 1, which is not equals to 0. Therefore, z naught equals to 0 is a 0 of order 3 for f of z. Okay. Now, I want to just prove very nice result with respect to zeros of a analytic function. Okay. So please stop me whenever you have a doubt. Okay. Let me write a nice theorem. Let D be a domain in C and f is a function from D to C be an analytic function. Then the following are equivalent. The following are equivalent. The first condition is A, f is identically equals to 0. B, there is a point say z naught in D such that f power n of z naught is 0 for all n greater than equals to 0. Okay. The third condition is, condition C is the set, if you take the set z, maybe let me write the set of all z belongs to B such that f of z equals to 0 has a limit point in D. Okay. So we want to prove that any these three conditions are equivalent. Okay. So let me prove. So which one is clear? Among these, which one is clear?
B2A, sir.
C2B.
Please, can you repeat
B2A.
again?
B2A.
Okay. Now I will ask you whether A implies B. A implies B. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes, yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
And A implies C is also clear. If F is identity function,
Yes, sir.
then this holds good. And
Yes.
also if if A happens, then C happens. Therefore, this is a trivial case. Okay. Clearly, the condition A implies both B and C. Okay. So now what I want to prove that the condition C implies B. Okay. So what is the condition C? I have set of all zeros of F which has a limit point in D, and I want to prove that F power n of Z naught equals to 0 for all n greater than equals to 0. Okay. So I will use the notation as let capital Z, okay, this represents the zeros of f of Z. Set of all Z belongs to D such that my f of Z equals to 0. And my Z naught belongs to D. Be a limit point of capital Z. Okay. Now, my Z naught is a limit point of this set. Therefore, there exists a sequence Zn such that my Zn converges to Z naught, right? Okay. Since Z naught is a limit point of the set Z, there exists a sequence Zn in the set Z such that my Zn converges to Z naught. Now what is given? Our f is an analytic function. So in particular, it's a differentiable, and in particular, it is a continuous function. So I will use the property of the continuity of f. Okay. So since f is continuous in D, okay, so my f of Z naught is same as my f of limit Z goes to Z naught, my sequence, okay, limit n goes to, or else let me write, limit n goes to infinity, my Zn. Okay, that means your Zn converges to Z naught, you are using your f of Zn converges to f of Z naught because your f is continuous. Okay, so this is nothing but limit n tends to infinity, your f of Zn. But our Zn's are of the zeros of f. Therefore, this quantity is 0. F of Zn's are 0. Therefore, this implies 0. Therefore, our f of z naught equals to 0. Okay. Now, we assume that, so what we want to prove that? We want to prove the condition B. That means we want to prove that f for n of z naught is equals to 0 for all n greater than equals to 0. Okay. Suppose there exists a natural number n such that f for n of z naught is not equals to 0. Then let us see what will happen. Assume that there exists an integer, let me write in a proper language. There exists an integer n greater than equals to 1 such that f of z naught equals to 0, f dash of z naught equals to 0, and f for n minus 1 of z naught equals to 0, but f for n of z naught is not equals to 0. That means what we are saying? We are saying that z naught is a 0 of order n. Okay. So, now, since f is an analytic function in the unit in the disk D, we can always express as a power series expansion. Okay, since f is analytic in D and our z naught belongs to D, there exists r greater than 0 such that our f of z can be written as, okay, z minus z naught whole power n into g of z. Okay, so where g of z is nothing but summation k equals to n to infinity z minus z naught whole to the power of k minus n. Yeah, maybe I will say that a n into a k into, or else let me rewrite this one. A k into z minus z naught whole to the power of n minus k, where your ak's are nothing but fk of z naught by k factorial in mod z minus z naught less than r. Okay, and moreover, our g of z naught is not equals to 0. Okay, so this is what we proved. Okay, if z naught is a 0 of order n for f of z, my f of z can be written into z minus z naught whole to the power of n into g of z. Okay, where g is an analytic function. Okay, and g of z naught is not equals to 0. Okay. Now, see, let me draw the picture. It will give, see, for example, so this is your D. Okay, so say this is your Z naught. Okay, so we can always find out a neighborhood in this one. We are writing the power series expansion. Okay, now here my G is an analytic function. Am I right? In this neighborhood, my G is an analytic function. Okay, since g of z is analytic in mod z minus z naught less than r, and g of z naught not equals to 0, there exists an r greater than 0 such that my g of z not equals to 0, okay, for mod z minus mod z naught less than r, where your 0 less than r less than capital R. Okay, so if you take this one as my R, capital R, so I can always find out a small neighborhood of around this z naught. Okay, in this one, my g is non-zero. In other words, what you can say that your g is an analytic function, in particular it is a continuous function, and g of z naught not equals to 0. Therefore, you can find out a small neighborhood at which your g of z is non-vanishing, okay, or non-zero. Okay. So, what we have arrived here, we have found out a neighborhood of z naught in which my g of z is non-zero. Okay. But what is our z naught? Our z naught is the limit point of our capital Z, set of all zeros of Z. Let me say. Since z naught is a limit point of capital Z, that is the zero of that function, there exists a point Z1 with our f of Z1 equals to 0 in the deleted neighborhood of Z0. That means 0 less than mod Z1 minus Z0 less than R. Okay, because it's a limit point, Z0 is a limit point, you can find out in that neighborhood some other point Z1 at which your f of Z1 equals to 0. So what does it mean? Your f of Z1 equals to 0, this implies that your f of Z1 can be written as Z1 minus Z0 whole to the power of n into g of Z1, okay, which is 0. Okay, this implies Z1 minus Z0 whole to the power of 1 into g of Z1 equals to 0. Now, your Z1 not equals to Z0. This implies what? This implies g of Z1 equals to 0 since Z1 not equals to Z0. So, where it happens in this neighborhood, okay? It happens in this neighborhood where mod Z minus Z0 less than R. Is it not a constant for g of Z not equals to 0 for mod Z minus Z0 less than R? Okay, so this is a contradiction loop, which is a contradiction. For the fact that g of Z not equals to 0 in mod Z minus Z0 less than R. Okay, therefore, there is, why we got such a contradiction? Because we assumed that there exists an integer n greater than or equals to 0 satisfying this property. Okay, so for this assumption we got the contradiction. Therefore, no such n exists such that f of z naught 0 and f dash of z naught 0 and f for n minus 1 of z naught equals to 0 and f for n of z naught is not equals to 0. Such n does not exist. Hence, there does not exist such n so that f for n of z naught equals to 0 for all n greater than equals to 0. Okay. So therefore, hence your f for n of z naught, okay, equals to 0 for all n greater than equals to 0. So that, let me write, maybe here I have to write clearly. This is enough. Hence, there does not exist n satisfying. Can I call this one as some star? Okay, this I will call as a star. Satisfying star. Therefore, f for n of z naught equals to 0 for all n greater than equals to 0. Okay. So what we proved A implies B, A implies C, and we proved C implies B. Okay. Now, let me write the picture. What we proved is the following. Say this is A, B, C. So A implies B is trivial, A implies C is trivial. And in the earlier case, we proved C implies B. So what I want to prove that, I want to prove this B implies A. Okay. If I prove my B implies A, then all A, B, C are equivalent. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So our now next aim is B implies A. What is B? B is nothing but there exists a point z naught in D such that f for n of z naught equals to 0 for all n greater than equals to 0. Okay. And we want to prove that f is identically equals to 0. Right? Okay. So let my A equals to set of all z belongs to D such that f for n of z equals to 0 for all n greater than equals to 0. Okay. So what is my claim? Indeed, I want to prove that. Yeah. So what I want to prove that whether this set A is non-empty, clearly A is non-empty set. Why? The hypothesis B says that, okay, by B. Okay. So now what I want to prove that, I want to prove that my A is both open and closed. Claim A is both open and closed in D. Now, since D is connected, so what we will get? Your A equals to D. Okay. Okay. Let me see. Since D is connected, first let us prove this statement first. Both A and B are open sets. Let us prove. Then I will come to the conclusion at the end. So how to prove A is closed? Subclaim A is closed. Okay. A is already subset of A closure. Now we prove that, okay, now we prove that A closure is subset of A. This implies your A equals to A closure. Therefore, A is closed set. Okay. So let Z belongs to A closure and your Zk be a sequence in A such that limit k goes to infinity, your Zk is nothing but Z. Okay. Now, since each Fn is a continuous function, okay, I can use the property since each f for n is a continuous function, we have the following. So f for n of z naught equals to f for n of limit k goes to infinity zk. So this is same as limit k goes to infinity f for n of zk. Okay. So what is f for n of zk? What is this quantity? Because your zk is a sequence from A. Your Zk is a sequence from A, and A is defined by set of all Z belongs to D such that f for k, f for n of Z is equals to 0. Therefore, what are these values of this f for n of Zk?
0.
Very good. This is 0. Therefore, this value is 0. Therefore, your f for n of Z naught equals to 0 for all n greater than or equals to 0. What does it mean?
Z0 belongs to A.
Z0
Sorry.
belongs to
Yeah. This is Z, we are using the notation. So your Z belongs to, this implies, I'm sorry. This implies your Z belongs to A. Okay. Therefore, A is closed. Okay. Now we want to prove that A is open. Okay. The next subclaim is A is open. So that means we'll take that an arbitrary point in A, and we will prove that there exists a neighborhood of this point which lies entirely in A. Okay. So since Z0 is an arbitrary point, your A is an open set. Okay. Since F is analytic at Z0, we have our f of z is nothing but summation k equals to 0 to infinity ak into z minus z0 whole to the power of k, and which is valid in some neighborhood of z0, okay, for mod z minus z0 less than r, where your r is nothing but so suppose if you have a domain like this, okay, and z0 is here, you take the distance from Z0 to the nearest boundary point. Okay, that I'm calling as my R. Okay, where my R is nothing but 0 less than R less than the distance between the Z0 to the boundary of D. Okay, so in this is nothing but mod Z minus Z0 less than R. Okay. So here we are writing the power series expansion. Now what is given? What are your A case? Where our A case are nothing but f power k at Z0 by k factorial. Okay. Now what is given? Our Z0 is from the set A. Therefore, f power k of Z0 will be 0, right? So since Z0 belongs to A, f power k of Z0 will be 0 for all k greater than or equals to 0. Therefore, our ak equals to 0 for all k greater than or equals to 0. Where it's happening? This is happening for mod z minus z0 less than r. That is, we are taking the set of all elements in D such that mod z minus z0 less than r. Okay, this is contained in A. Therefore, A is open. Okay. So A is both open set and yeah, please.
So can we
Please.
simply use continuity also?
Can you please repeat your question?
Sir, can we simply use continuity since f of z naught is 0? So we know that there is some small neighborhood around it, it will be 0. That will be contained in domain.
Where you want to use? I will minimize the screen. Can you show me?
No, so in order to prove A to be open, we supposedly taken z naught to be belonging to A. That means f of z naught is 0 there. But f is continuous, so can we say that there exists small neighborhood around which under which it will be 0?
But that will give a local property. Okay, that will give a local property. Just wait for 1 minute. You will get the answer.
Oh, okay, sure.
Okay. Okay. So now A is both open and closed set in the domain D, and moreover, A is, we proved that non-empty set. So what does it mean? Now here, maybe in a domain D, let me write. In a domain D, and A is a non-empty set. Since domain means it's an open connected set, so what does it mean? This implies your A equals to D. Okay. Your A equals to D. Therefore, this implies A equals to D means what? This implies your F is identically equals to 0. Okay. Maybe I can write one more sentence here. F for n of z, F for n of z equals to 0 for all n greater than equals to 0 and for all z belongs to D. Okay, so this implies your f is identically equals to 0. Okay, so what you are saying, that is a local property, Munishi Gupta. So what we want to say that indeed the property which happens in the set A is nothing but our domain D. That's what we want to say. Okay, the property what happens, the property of A is nothing but the domain D.
Yes, sir. But in order to prove A as to be open, I was suggesting that.
Okay, okay. So tell me your proof, what you are suggesting.
No, I'm just asking, sir. Will it be since to prove it to be open, we want suppose we take a random point Z naught, we want a smaller neighborhood that of Z naught that will be contained in A.
Yeah, that's
So
what we want to prove.
yes, sir. So since when we took Z naught to be belonging to A, but F is continuous, so we will have a neighborhood around Z naught which will, for which Z will F will be 0. So
Yeah.
because of continuity, so that neighborhood will also belong to A. Oh, I think.
That
That's
cannot be
also,
said, right, sir? If f is 0 at some point, it does not mean that it has to be 0 in some neighborhood. So we can
yeah,
actually,
yeah,
real analysis can take that f of x equals to x, that it is
yeah,
0,
yeah.
0, but there is no neighborhood that it can be 0.
That's fine. That's fine. That's fine. Good. So let us use this result repeatedly. I want to use this equivalent form of this result. Okay, the equivalence of these three conditions to prove nice results. So let me go to the corollary. If f of z and g of z are analytic in a domain D, then my f is equals to g identically equals f is identically equals to g if and only if. So I'm taking a set of all z belongs to D such that my f of z is equals to g of z has a limit point. As a limit point in D. Sometimes we call this one as the identity theorem. Okay, so we call as sometimes identity theorem. So the proof is very simple. If we take my h as f minus g, then my h is identically equals to 0. Okay, so this is, now I will use one of the three conditions which are equivalent condition for h is identically equals to 0. Okay, then the result will follow. Proof: let h of z is equals to f of z minus g of z. Then clearly h of z is an analytic function. The difference of two analytic functions is analytic. Now, by the above theorem, h of z is identically equals to 0 if and only if set of all z belongs to D such that h of z equals to 0 has a limit point in D. So what does it mean? It means that is f of z identically equals to g of z if and only if set of all z belongs to D such that f of z equals to g of z has a limit point in D. So let us use the one more application of this result, okay, to prove that zeros of an analytic function are isolated, non-constant analytic functions are isolated. Let me give one more corollary. If f from D to C is analytic and f is not identically 0, okay, maybe let me use let D domain in C. And z0 is a point in D and f of z0 equals to 0. Then there exists an r greater than 0 such that f is not equals to 0 for 0 less than mod z minus z0 less than r. Okay. So what we are taking f is an analytic function which is not identically equals to 0. Then if z0 is a 0 of f of z, then you can always find out an r greater than 0 such that f of z not equals to 0 in the deleted neighborhood of that point z0. So let us see the proof. So what is given? Given that our f is not identically equals to 0 and our f of z0 equals to 0. Okay. So then there exists an n greater than equals to 1 such that, so we do not know whether a 0 is a 0 of order 1 or 2, we do not know. So we are assuming that z0 is a 0 of order n. Okay. So assume that without loss of generality, we can assume, okay, our f of z is nothing but z minus z0 whole to the power of n into g of z, where g of z is analytic and g of z0 not equals to 0. Okay. Now let us, since g of z0 not equals to 0, we will take modulus of g of z0 which is greater than 0. So I will take this fellow as my epsilon which is greater than 0. Let my epsilon is nothing but modulus of g of z0 by 2, okay, Now, my g is an analytic function. In particular, it is a continuous at z is equals to z naught. Since g of z is continuous at z naught, there exists delta for given epsilon greater than 0. So for this epsilon equals to modulus of g of z naught by 2 greater than 0, there exists a delta which depends on this epsilon greater than 0 such that modulus of g of z minus g of z naught is less than epsilon for modulus of z minus z naught less than beta. Now, I will substitute my epsilon here. This implies modulus of g of z minus g of z naught is less than modulus of g of z naught by 2. Okay. In mod z minus z naught less than delta. Now, this means that I will use the another triangle inequality. Okay. So can I write this fellow as modulus of g of z minus modulus of g of z naught is less than modulus of g of z minus g of z naught. Can I write this? Can I write? So what I want to write that modulus of A minus modulus of B, if A, B are two complex numbers, are less than or equals to mod A minus mod B for A comma B belongs to C. So this is less than modulus of G of Z naught by 2. Okay. So what does it mean? This means that modulus of g of z minus modulus of g of z naught, okay, so are bounded by minus modulus of g of z naught by 2 and modulus of. Can I write using this and this last step?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, very good. So this implies, now I will add on both sides modulus of g of z naught. Okay. So if I add modulus of g of z naught, so this is minus modulus of g of z naught by 2. This is modulus of g of z naught. This is nothing but modulus of g of z naught by 2 less than modulus of g of z less than, this is 1 by 2 plus 1, that is nothing but 3 by 2 into modulus of g of z naught. Okay, and this is valid for mod z minus z naught less than delta. Please note that our g of z naught is the quantity which is not equals to 0. Okay, our g of z naught is not equals to 0. Therefore, so this is not equals to 0 and this is not equals to 0. Therefore, your g of z is not equals to 0 for mod z minus z naught less than delta. Okay. So therefore, some delta neighborhood of z naught, we found out that our g of z not equals to 0. This implies your f of z is not equals to 0. Okay, in 0 less than mod z minus z naught is less than r. Okay. So that is the zeros of a non-constant analytic function are isolated. Okay. So let us do a very significant problems on this. Okay. One such beautiful problem on this is, maybe I will write an example. If f of z and g of z are two analytic functions on a domain D such that f of z into g of z equals to 0 for all z belongs to D. Okay. Show that either f is identically 0 or g is identically 0. Show that f is identically 0 or g is identically 0. Okay. So what is given? We have been given that two analytic functions and its product is 0 for all in the domain D. Okay. So we have to prove that either f equals to 0 or g equals to 0. Show that either. So can someone give a suggestion how to proceed? So if we want to prove either
Consider it
or,
to be non-zero
So
at
can we
some point.
proceed with contradiction?
yeah. So either
Sir, taking-
f is identical. Yeah, please next.
Sir,
Somebody
taking one
saying?
A is non-zero,
Yeah.
we have to show G
Very
is
good.
zero.
Very good. Very good. So we want to prove that either f is identical 0 or g is identically 0. Okay. We will prove that suppose f of z is not identically 0. Okay. So what does it mean? You have the domain D. So at least there exists a point in D such that our f of z naught is not equals to 0. Okay. That is, there exists z naught belongs to D such that our f of z naught is not equals to 0. Okay. Now what is given? Our f is an analytic function. So in particular, it is a continuous function. Since f is continuous at z naught, there exists an r greater than 0 such that our f of z is non-zero for mod z minus z naught less than r. Okay, where I will take my r is, okay, the distance from z naught to the nearest boundary point. So in this neighborhood, at least, okay, it is non-zero. Or there exists some neighborhood we are taking. Okay, 0 less than your capital R is less than distance from your z naught to the boundary of D. Okay. So given that your f of z into g equals to 0 for all z belongs to D, but we found out a neighborhood. In this neighborhood, my f is not equals to 0. Okay, what does it mean? This implies f is not equals to 0 in some neighborhood of D. That means your G is equals to 0. Okay, so what we proved that the set, okay, Z belongs to D such that Z naught less than R has a limit point E. So somebody, can you mute your mic? So may I request somebody to mute the mic? So by the equivalent condition, okay, which we proved, so this implies you will identically equals to 0. Okay, so we proved that set of all Z belongs to D such that this has a point, okay, in that domain. Okay, so one more nice result, nice problem in this regard is, let me write problem or let F and 2n domain D such that F conjugate into G is analytic. Okay, here F bar represents, I think, some network issue. Let's see the text is coming or not. Okay, here F bar means the conjugate of F. Then either F is constant or G is identically equals to 0. Okay, so what is given if F and G are two analytic functions such that F bar into G is analytic function, then there are only one possibility that either F is constant, therefore that means your G is analytic. If F is not constant, then G must be the identity function. Okay, so can someone use int? How to start? Which one is easy? To proving F is a constant is easy. Am I right? Yeah, very good. So let G is not identically equals to 0. Okay, let G be not identically equals to 0. Okay, then there exists a point Z naught belongs to D such that G of Z naught not equals to 0. Again, I want to use the continuity of F, okay, because we are using the similar kind of arguments. So I will use that since G is continuous, there exists R greater than 0 such that G of Z not equals to 0 in mod Z minus Z naught less than R. Okay, very good. So what we did is, in some neighborhood of Z naught, we proved that our G of Z naught is not equals to 0. Okay, so this means, okay, sorry, this means, okay, So what it is given, our f bar into z into g of z. This is an analytic function. Am I right? This is analytic function. Okay, which is given. Okay. So my g is non-vanishing in this domain. So I can always define 1 over g. Am I right? So what I will write this into 1 over g of z. Okay. Now this is also an analytic function. In mod z minus z naught less than r. Okay, because your g of z is not equals to 0. Okay. Okay. So the product of two analytic functions is analytic. Therefore, this whole thing is analytic. So what is this f bar into z into g of z into 1 by g of z? What is this value?
F bar z, sir.
Very good. This is nothing but f bar of z. Okay. Now your f bar of z is analytic. That's what we obtained. Okay. That is your f bar of z is analytic in mod z minus z naught less than r. Okay. Now what is given? Our f is analytic. Am I right? Our f is analytic and g is analytic, and using the condition f bar into g is analytic, using this condition, by assuming g is not identically 0, we arrived to the conclusion that f bar z is analytic. Okay. Now f of z and f bar z are so analytic in mod z minus z naught less than r. So what is your conclusion?
Then f must be constant.
fz is constant.
Okay, very good. Okay. This means f of z must be constant. In mod
Sir?
z minus z naught less than r. Please.
Sir, if I
Yeah,
take
please.
fz equals to z
Ah.
and if g of z equals to z square, so in that
Okay.
case, where actually I am wrong, I can get. So f of z is
What
z,
is
that is analytic. G of z.
so? What is your domain? Yeah, please.
That means domain
Where
is
are you defining?
throughout C, no problem, sir. F of z is analytic everywhere, na?
Okay, okay, yeah. F is analytic. Okay, fine.
So f of z
What is
is
your
z.
G?
G of z equals to z square.
Okay, Z square. Okay.
Then f bar, that means f conjugate into z, that is again g. That is again z actually.
Just let me finish this one more step and I will come to the, your question. I understood your question. Okay.
Okay, sir. I got my where I'm wrong. I got.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. Thank you. So by identity theorem, f is a constant function. Function in D. Okay. So what we assumed that g is not identically equals to 0. Okay, then we proved that f is a constant function. Okay, so here this proof is very simple. Okay, if someone wants the proof here, z and z bar are analytic functions, implies f is f is a constant function. So you take f of z is equals to nothing but u plus iv, and f bar of z is nothing but u minus iv. Okay, so this you call as capital U plus I into capital V, where your u is nothing but small u and capital V is nothing but minus v. Now apply CR equations. Okay, by CR, since f is analytic, this is analytic in D, and this is analytic in D. So it satisfies CR equations. Your ux equals to, and similarly you can just apply here CR equations. Okay, so if you apply CR equations here, ux equals to minus vy. Okay, uy equals to vx. Okay, therefore your ux equals to ux equals to, so if you take this pair, okay, your ux equals to vy, and vy is nothing but minus ux. This implies your 2ux equals to 0. This implies ux equals to 0. And similarly, you can write that your uy, 2uy equals to 0. This implies your uy equals to 0. Okay, in the domain D. So this implies your u is constant in D. So once u is constant, your Vx equals to 0. Here your Vx equals to 0 and Vy equals to 0 because u is constant. Okay, so this implies your V is constant. This implies your F is constant. Okay. So maybe here I want to just mention that if f of z is analytic, then f of z bar whole bar is analytic. So analytic in a domain D, then this is an analytic in a domain D. Okay, f of z bar whole bar. How much time we have? We have last 10 minutes. So this is about the zeros of analytic functions. Okay. So do you have any questions?
Yes, sir. This the same question. Whatever I asked.
Yeah.
So F is analytic, G is analytic, and if F bar G is analytic, then F must be constant or G is zero. So if I take the F z equals to Z and G of Z equals to Z square, and my domain
Yeah.
I change domain into
Can you speak? Can you speak little slow and keep the mic properly so that everyone can
Okay.
listen?
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
please.
sir. So I'm taking F of Z equals to Z,
Your
and
f of
G of
z
Z
is equals to
Z,
z. G of z
and
is
G of Z equals to Z square.
z square. Okay.
Here taking my domain as mod Z equals to 1. That means unit circle.
Your mod z equals to 1 you are taking.
Yes, sir. That means domain is this one, unit circle.
Just a minute.
This is not a domain
Yeah. I want to come to
Okay,
this.
open
because
and
this is
connected.
not
Because that-
open.
Okay. This is not an open set. This is not a domain.
Okay. Okay. That is the problem.
This is not a
Fine,
domain.
sir.
Okay. Very good. So any other question?
Sir, I have one question here about the
Yeah, please.
zeros, sir.
Yeah.
It's confusing me, sir. It's bit related to convergence also.
Yeah.
You know, exponential function e power z is not zero for any z in the complex plane.
Okay.
Sequence of partial sums of the expansion of e power z. Those are actually all polynomials
Yeah.
of all polynomials. I mean, if I take the first as 1, then 1 plus z, 1 plus z plus z square, so on. All these polynomials by
Yeah.
fundamental theorem of algebra possess zero somewhere in the plane.
Hmm. Hmm.
And this sequence of partial sums, which are polynomials, converge uniformly to e power z, but e power z does not vanish anywhere. I do not understand why uniform convergence does not preserve this zero property here.
So could you please repeat your question? Little ambiguity is there in your question. So can you repeat it one more time?
I mean, sir, this sequence of partial sums are actually polynomials, and
Okay. So
by yes, all polynomials
yes,
have zero by
if you
fundamental
take
theorem
S,
of algebra.
yeah, if you take Sn of z,
Yes, sir. If you take limit of nth term, that converges to e
and
power z.
partial sum. Okay.
Yes, sir. And this
Hmm.
convergence is this hold is uniform. I mean, this is uniformly convergent
Okay.
sequence, converging to e power z. But e power z does not vanish anywhere. I mean, uniform convergence does not preserve this. I mean,
Yeah.
property. I can say the zero of polynomials.
No, uniformly converges. So this uniformly converges in whole C or subset C. The uniform convergence, you are in whole of C or in the complex subsets of C? What happened? Hello? I think we lost the connection. So I think he can write just an email so that in tomorrow class I can just clarify. Any doubt? Okay.
Hello.
So let me recall the singularities. Yeah, Rohit.
Sir, I will ask
So
at
let
the end.
Rohit, can you keep the mic away from you and ask me question? Everyone can listen.
Sir, actually, I have some problem in understanding the
Hello.
proof above. So I will ask in the last, after the class.
Okay. Yeah. Today I will circulate the my notes. Okay, and you just go through, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Okay. Okay.
Sir,
So in the Dr. Yeah, please.
sir, please explain the
Gayan Chandra.
last statement which you made. Just explain in short. FZ bar whole bar.
Okay, I
Yes.
will do it. Okay. Okay, this is okay. Let me write. You can mute the mic. You can mute the mic. So f of z is analytic in a domain D, and f of z bar is analytic in the same domain D. Okay. Now our claim is f is a constant function.
Yeah, this part is okay, sir. Now FZ bar, then whole bar.
Oh, okay, that one. Okay, very good. See, f of z is analytic in a domain D. Okay, so you are having a power series expansion. Okay. Suppose this is your D. Take a Z0 is any point here. Okay. You can always write a power series expansion. Okay. And say Z0 belongs to D. Okay. So what I'm doing, I will write my f of z as summation k equals to 0 to infinity ak into z minus z0 whole to the power of k. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Is it
Yes.
okay? Okay. So what I'm saying, my f of z bar whole bar is analytic. That's what I want to say. Okay. So if you want to see in the easy way to understand, in the power series expansion, what is f of z bar? This is nothing but a0 plus a1 z bar, or let me write in a, for f of z, let me write a0 plus a1 z. But in case if you want at a point z0 equal, without loss of generality, take z0 equals to 0. Okay. Then a2 z square and so on plus an into z to the power of n. Okay. So your f of z bar is nothing but a0 into a1 z bar plus a2 z bar square and so on plus an into z bar to the power of n and so on. Now you are taking f of z bar whole bar is nothing but what? a0 bar plus a1 bar into z plus a2 bar into z square and so on plus an bar into z to the power of n and so on. Okay. So if you write this one into the power series expansion, this is nothing but summation n equals to 0 to infinity your an bar into z to the power of n. Am I right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Now your f of z is nothing but n equals to 0 to infinity an into z to the power of n. Okay. And this series and for this has the same radius of convergence. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So your this series, just let me write. This series and this series has the same radius of convergence. Therefore, in the disk of convergence, both represents the analytic functions. This is one such proof.
Yeah, okay.
Is it clear?
Yes, I got
Thank
it.
you. Thank you, Chandra. So, if there are there any questions?
Sir,
Yeah.
sir, I didn't
go ahead.
understand last part of that theorem. Zeros are isolated. Last part of that theorem, I didn't
Okay.
understand.
Okay. I will come back. Please mute your mic. Okay. This is what. Okay. Rohit, where did you not understand? I can go from there and I can explain. Till
Sir,
this part,
actually,
is it
I
clear to
didn't
you?
understand last part. Yes, sir, it is clear, but I didn't
This
understand last part, sir.
this part is okay.
Sir, because if we want to show zeros are isolated, we need to find a neighborhood of zero, na, sir? So, but it is z naught, f of z naught
Yeah.
is also not zero.
No. What I want to say, please understand. Please mute your
Yes,
mic.
sir.
I will explain, Rohit. Okay. Okay. Thank you. So what it means that zeros are isolated means, just let me explain. Okay. Suppose I have a function f of z. Okay. Suppose it has a 1, 0, obviously it's isolated. Suppose if it has even infinitely many zeros, what I want to say that, say this is z1, z2, z3, and so on, say zn here, the zeros. What I want to say that these are isolated means you take the distance between these 2 points, z1 and z2. Okay. Take my ball with radius, my r is nothing but modulus of z1 minus z2 by 4 you can use. Okay. That means I can find out a neighborhood of this z1 and neighborhood of z2.
Yes,
Okay.
sir,
Which
I
do not
understand.
intersect.
Sir.
No,
Now,
just I'm coming.
sir, actually,
I'm coming to it.
yes, sir.
I'm
F
coming
is
to you.
f of z naught is 0, na, sir? But g of z naught is not 0. Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
That is the problem. Sir. Actually, I didn't understand.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
I understand
Okay.
now. Sir.
Okay, okay.
Thank you, sir.
Since you raised the question, let me explain to others also. So this ball Z1 with radius R, and this is ball Z2 with radius R. Okay, I can separate these 2 zeros with 2 different open balls. That means this, in this neighborhood, I have only 1 0, no other 0. So in this neighborhood, I have only 1 0. There is no other 0. So here what I am explaining here, in this deleted neighborhood, that means already z naught equals to 0 for f of z. Z naught is a 0 for f of z. So if I take the deleted neighborhood of that z naught, I am not getting any other 0. That's what I want to say. Thank you, Rohit.
Sir, in this one, so you have considered epsilon equals to this thing, right? Some modulus
yeah.
of g. So
Yeah.
instead of that, can't we directly say that function g is analytic, so it is continuous, so we can have one delta which will do our purpose instead of doing all of this?
No, you want to prove it. No, they're not like that. So you want to show that this, what I want to say that here I am giving a R. Can you please mute your mic? I want to tell you. Here I know the points, therefore I can take my, what is my R. Okay. So in this case, I'm just taking this one as my R. Okay.
It's delta, right?
Hello. Yeah. Sorry, in delta. Okay.
So here's
I'm choosing suitably given epsilon. I'm taking my delta so that there is no other 0 lies in that disk. So it is just a adjustment. Okay. If someone wants, one can take, since g of z naught not equals to 0, one can take epsilon by modulus of g of z naught by k, where your k is greater than 1. Okay, that also works.
What I'm saying is, so instead of considering this particular epsilon, can we say it for arbitrary thing, sir?
No, for me it is one.
Because
why
sir,
arbitrary is necessary?
Because sir, f of z equals to z minus z naught whole power n g of z, right? So this g of z is analytic in some neighborhood, right? Z minus z naught less than r. In that neighborhood, it is analytic, and in that neighborhood, g of z is not g naught is non-zero. So within that disks, we can have smaller disks around that thing, which because of the continuity, that is not going to be 0.
Yeah. No, what we want to say that, what here, see, essentially we are using g of z not equals to 0. So what we want to say that your g of z is non-vanishing in some domain. Here it gives that at a point it says, and we want to show that indeed G is non-vanishing in some domain. In the domain we are saying.
No, that is what I'm saying. But this is already what I'm trying to say is, sir, this we already knew, right? That if function is continuous and non-zero, that we will have going to have. That is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
Okay, sir. So after that next example, in the next example, that can you, sir, go a few pages? Yes, sir. Little bit down, sir. So here the set Z belongs to D. Yes, sir. Instead of that, so that line, can you as a limit point in D, that one?
Okay, if you want to say that, what it means is, okay, the set, okay, what it means is, if you want, I will rewrite this one. The set G's where G of Z is equals to 0 for mod Z minus Z naught less than R. This is set you are taking. Okay, it has a limit point. What it means that your G is 0, okay, in the neighborhood of Z naught. So therefore your this set has a limit point in D. Hello.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So thank you. In the next class, yeah, please.
The set contains one or more limit points. So in our case,
one set is a limit point. One set is a limit point. Okay. In every neighborhood, it contains infinitely many points. So what I want to trying to say that I am trying to find out a set which has a limit point in D. Therefore, I can apply this equivalent relations to show that it's identically equals to 0. Just
my doubt is, in the equivalent conditions, the set contains all, domain contains all the limit points of the set, or it contains any one of the limit point of the sets. In the third equivalent conditions.
Just a minute, I'm just recalling. Has a limit point.
The set has a limit point
in D.
It means it contains all limits of the set in D, or it contains any one of the limit point of in D.
No, the statement is very clear. You know,
it is my doubt.
What it says that if the set has a limit point in D, it is sufficient. So you are telling more information. So I am telling with
that
less
means any
information.
one of the limit point. If the set has
a limit point, one limit point is sufficient.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.